Welcome to This Organized Life. If you're a mom, wife, or coffee lover seeking advice on how to reduce clutter and reclaim time, look no further than your host, Lori Palau, founder of Simply Be Organized and author of Hot Mess, a practical guide to getting organized. For a lot of people, clutter is their dirty little secret, but it doesn't have to be. Each week, we will share practical tips, chat with experts, and provide strategies on how to keep you organized. I hope that by sharing our stories, you feel a little less alone and more empowered to tackle the areas that are holding you back. So let's get started.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of This Organized Life podcast. I'm your host, Lori Palau, and we are wrapping up our series on the Enneagram and Clutter. And today we are talking to my favorite number on the Enneagram 9s. And if you listened to last week's episode, you know that I decided for the last two episodes of talking to our typings, I wanted to bring it in-house because I have two people on the SBO team who are an Enneagram 8, which is Kimberly, and my good friend Gail, who's an Enneagram 9. And so I know if you listen to a bunch of the earlier episodes, we had a bunch of Enneagram experts that came into the conversation with a ton of either practical or clinical Enneagram knowledge. But both Kimberly and Gail are pretty new to the Enneagram in terms of just learning the teachings and just kind of going through their everyday life and applying the Enneagram. And so I wanted to bring their perspective into the show also just because I think it would be refreshing to hear from people who maybe don't do this for a living and see how they have started to recognize kind of patterns of behavior and how clutter impacts and organization impacts how they deal with situations based on their Enneagram type. Plus, Gail's my good friend. She's been on the show before, and I love having her with me. So without further ado, let me welcome my good friend, Gail Waterman, back to the show. And here she is. For anybody that's
right around the corner.
Right. For anybody that's watching us on YouTube, you have to move into the shot though. That's fine.
I don't like
Gail, in true Enneagram 9 format, she does not like to be the center of attention. But she's a trooper. And so I appreciate it. And for anybody watching on YouTube, we are dressed like twins. We're both in black.
Didn't know it.
Did not know it. And here we are. So Gail, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
Anytime for you.
I know
it's you.
I know you're so good. So, give our listeners a quick overview about you, what you do, and like a little bit about your life, because I think it's going to play into the whole Enneagram, like, you know, your family dynamic. So
what I do for a living.
Yeah. Yes. What do you do for a living?
So I'm a personal assistant.
Yes. She's Mr. Pep. She's Mr. Pep. She's
yes.
Mr. Pep.
Yes. And to a woman I've been with for 20 years.
It's crazy.
I adore her, and I just take care of her home and her house and her home house, her life.
Yes.
And I love doing that because I like to help people.
You do. You're a helper.
I'm a helper.
And I think that's interesting.
I like to help people.
Now,
I enjoy it.
Now, I do want to make a distinction. And this is, I think, actually a really relevant point because 9s are known as the peacekeepers, not the helpers by classification. 2s are the helpers. So on the surface,
right,
there's a lot of similarities between 2s and 9s. And a lot of times there's mistyping between 2s and 9s right. Because
when we were first doing this, I'm like, oh, I'm a 2. I'm a
totally.
2. Because it's help. I like to help.
Yeah.
But as soon as I read the 9, oh dear God, I'm a 9.
Yes.
I'm a 9 through and through.
So, and again, and I said this in the intro, so we're not putting you on the spot. You're not an Enneagram scholar. You're not an Enneagram expert. But in your own words, can you just describe some characteristics of the 9?
Well, one is we don't like to bring attention to ourselves.
Very true.
Not at all. I liked my dad used to say, be a finger, not a thumb. And he meant that on,
I think you've taken that to a different level.
I have, but he meant it on the road, like blend in with
you are a merger.
With the traffic, don't stick out like a sore thumb or you'll get caught speeding or whatever. See, but I take that to another level of, I just like to blend and I like to be just, I don't like to stand out. And that's not a bad thing.
No.
Also, I think I do think we don't think highly of ourselves. We don't.
Which makes me sad because my favorite people are nines. Like literally some of the favorite people in my lives are nines.
Yeah. And it's funny. We are procrastinators. Oh, dear God.
Mm-hmm.
But once we get our mindset, we're there.
And you're great under deadlines too.
Oh God. Yeah. I'll get it done.
And that I think is
I'll get it done. You tell me. Yeah. I'll get it done.
But
also,
sorry.
I'm sorry.
No. You go.
I'm running.
Yeah, go run. Go run.
It's maybe therapy here too. And also we do not like to say how we feel. We don't like to start any conflict. I don't like to say how I feel. And once I say it, if it does come out, then I feel bad. Yeah. You feel bad.
You probably apologize for things that you don't need to apologize for.
Right. So that's about, the gist of it.
But the motivation behind the 9 is to keep the peace.
Right. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Keep the peace
and
at all costs.
Yes. And somewhere along the way, because the whole thing with the Enneagram, it's like your unconscious motivation and your wounded childhood message and all that is kind of like your voice doesn't matter. Somewhere along the way, you feel like your voice doesn't matter. And it's not, to differentiate also, or to clarify, it's not like you're being a martyr. It's not, well, I'm just going to sacrifice, blah, 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 blah. Like you legitimately are just mergers. Like you're just like, I'll go with the flow and I'd rather keep the peace.
Nobody wants to hear what I have to say. So
which is so fake.
Go with the flow. Yeah.
And people gravitate to 9s. I feel like do you find, actually, let me ask you a question. Do you find that people like tell you their life story and you're like, why are you telling me this?
Oh, absolutely. All the time. All the time. Yeah. And I think I think the plus I have, which here I'll say something nice about myself, because I've been told this, is I always try to make people feel comfortable.
Yes.
If they're coming into my house, if I'm meeting somebody new, not, anywhere, if I just always try to make people feel comfortable. And I think then it just starts pouring out. Yeah. And then they tell me everything.
And you're like, why are you telling me this?
Oh, there's
You're the keeper of secrets.
I am.
It's a little bit like your confessional. And another characteristic of 9s is you are able, and tell me again, correct me if I'm wrong, because I am not a 9. You are able to see both sides of it, of a case. Even if you don't necessarily agree with it, you are able to really see, where as some types, it's like, this is the way, this is the one way. And 9s are like, well, did you ever think of it from this person's perspective?
No, I do that all the time. I think that drives
people crazy
because I can't stay in a lane sometimes.
Well,
like I have my convictions and I have my what I believe in. But if somebody does something, I'm like, well, maybe they just didn't have the childhood I had, or they didn't have.
You have a lot of grace.
Or I have a lot of, I do. No, it's exactly what it is. Yeah. It's so funny. It's so funny. Because I reread me. I read it before, but then when I knew I was going to do this, I reread me
to make sure.
Oh no!
Or as a refresher.
Just a refresher.
Okay.
And I was like, oh dear God! I mean,
So tell her. So I think that as actually a good segue for our listeners out there that really don't know the Enneagram or just like unsure. Like give us the backstory, like how you learned about it and.
Well, you.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell, it's Lori.
It was me.
And then I bought the book. I started reading the book.
Right. We read The Road Back to You, which is, again, we've mentioned it multiple times. You think
and I go back to it all the time. I go back to it and I reference.
Yeah. And we have a dinner club, which called the Finer Things Club. And it's because Gail and I, we've been friends for 20 years. Mm-hmm. And it's Josh and myself, Gail and her husband, and another couple. And I somehow, I, of course, brought up the Enneagram like, I don't know, 2 years ago. And just started reading descriptions literally from The Road Back to You. Like I would pull out the pages of each of the types. And I was like, let's go around the room and see which one sticks out for each one.
But Lori knew exactly. You knew exactly. You knew exactly what everybody was without telling them.
Which you're not supposed to type. You're not supposed to type. But I kind of was like, I suspect these.
This is it.
And so yeah.
So you nailed it.
I did. And I think again, a lot of people ask, what's the best way? Should I take a quiz? And listen, who doesn't love a fun quiz? And there's tons of quizzes out there. Some are free, some are paid. I tell people if you're really, really anxious to take a quiz and just do something, and we have a link to Truity, which we like them because they're quick and free, but I put the disclaimer out there that there is, like I said at the top of the episode, a lot of mistyping because on the surface, some numbers, some types really can look like one another. And I've talked to many people, some of them have been guests on the show that have said for months, even years, they took a quiz and the quiz told them they were a certain type and just kind of went with that. And we're like, yeah, because there are certain things about them that do lean into that. But then at the core, which is really what the Enneagram is about, the core motivation, it really wasn't. So just use that as a starting reference point if you're insistent.
Yeah.
But I think the best way is to just read a summary. You don't have to read like a huge thing, just read summaries.
No, but what I like about The Road Back to You is it gives you like, for instances and stories and how people handle situations, and then
it's relatable.
It's very relatable.
Yeah.
It's very relatable.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh God, yeah, that's what I would do.
Exactly
what I would do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and it's not perfect. Some things I'm like, no, I don't know if I would, but it's pretty spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned procrastination and for our newer listeners, we talk about 5 main clutter pitfalls here. There's obviously a lot of different ones, but we've kind of corralled them into 5.
Yeah.
And I'll just quickly run through them. They're procrastination, which is I'll put it off. Then you have indecision, which is, I don't know what to do, so I'm kind of not going to do anything. And they can all like a little bit overlap. Then you've got guilt, which is more kind of that emotional clutter, which is either this cost a lot of money or it's sentimental or whatever. So the guilt. Then you have overwhelm, which again is I'm ready to tackle this, but I don't even know where to start because it's just like the sea of clutter. And then the 5th clutter pitfall is time, which is I know what to do. I'm ready to do it, but I'm so like either not using my time wisely or just jam-packed. I have no margin in my life to say I'm going to do it. So when we are referencing clutter, we kind of look at those individual areas. And again, you can struggle with more than one, but typically speaking, there's 1 or 2 that tend to stand out per type. And I think procrastination, in my experience, and you are validating that, is very common for 9s.
It's absolutely. Yeah. By the way, and I hate to tell you,
oh no,
my closet's still not done.
Well, okay. So here's a quick sidebar. So, Gail moved into a new house a couple years ago. They right-sized their house. So she's got 3 grown boys. That's how we met. Our youngest went to preschool together, and they moved to this really, really great house. And even though the house was smaller, she has a really great closet, but it needed a system. So after a couple of years of doing some other like home improvement projects, we said, let's tackle this closet. Let's get it done. So we designed it together. She got the parts. It's installed, right?
It's installed. Well, I have it actually in the car. I'm going to do it today.
Oh, cool.
I had it in the car all week. So was it Wednesday?
Yeah.
Today I'll do it.
Okay.
But there's some parts that were not sent.
Right.
So I have to.
Well, I'll be at the containers.
Because my number 5 husband made a whole spreadsheet. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're going to get to that in the second half of the episode. We're going to talk about the relational piece because we just thought it would make for good TV and podcast. But yeah, so procrastination.
So there you go.
And that's another
number 1.
Yeah. So, so procrastination, I know again, for the 9s in my life, a lot of times just waiting to the last minute because you can. I find that 9s work well under pressure.
We do. Yeah.
And so it'll
get done.
It will get done, but on your time in the end.
Right.
And, I asked my older one's a 9, as people know, and she doesn't listen to the show, which is fine. She doesn't like to be on the show because she's a 9. But the challenge as a parent to a 9 is she does well under pressure. And I despise procrastination. I'm gonna get it done, check it off the list. Right. I don't want it.
Right.
And she's like, I'll wait till the last minute and I'll get done. And it will.
And she does.
Yeah. And it gets done with excellence, which pisses me off because it's not like, well, you could have gotten a better grade or blah, 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 blah. Like she gets it done. And it's like,
it's good.
So so for me as a parent, now that she's an adult, I've had to kind of just go, okay, you're going to do it. Like here's a perfect example. She needs to go get blood work. She's got going to checkups, going to see Dr. Rob.
Right.
She has to get blood work before her physical.
Yeah. So
I just casually mentioned, hey, the other day, why don't you just go before work? Cause you're fasting, you're on your way. On your way. Why don't you just stop at Quest on your way? No, I'll do it. I'll do it. It'll get done before my thing. And I was like, okay, parent, bite your tongue.
Right.
Even though I know, just go.
Yeah.
Just go and get it done. Not racing around. What if something happens?
Yeah.
But the old 8 in me, before I was an evolved 8, would have given her 20 different lectures of why. And even though, in my opinion, I was right and that you should just get it done and be over.
Right. Makes more sense that way.
It would have caused conflict, unnecessary conflict.
Yeah.
So there you have it. And that is something that 9s do not like anyway.
Right. No, we don't. And we shut down.
That is very relevant.
Yeah. We shut down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That is a great point. So talk about that, because I think that's a really big thing, especially when you talk about stressful things like clutter and organization.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stress and anxiety that comes around that. And if you're a 9 and you are living with other people, roommates, spouses, kids, and there's conflict and stress.
Right.
How does that, what does that look like for you? In terms of, let me rephrase that. In terms of the productivity stuff, how does that impact you? Does that energize? If someone's like, you need to get it done, you need to do this. Does that let me just do it? Or are you more of a retreat type of
Oh no, I'll, if you're telling me to get it done and on me and stuff, no, I'll retreat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Yeah. And just the stubbornness of don't tell me what to do.
Right.
Because I want to do it. I'll do it.
Right.
But in my own time. And don't you start chirping at me.
Yes.
Yeah. You're shutting me down.
Yes.
You're shutting me down.
Yeah.
Definitely shutting me down.
That's important.
In anything.
Yes.
Anything.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And I see that. And so for anybody that's a parent out there, because again, learn from my mistakes, people. I did not learn about the Enneagram until my kids were pretty much already cooked. Right. So lots of therapy needed, lots of damage done. You need to.
Right.
You have to.
Right.
all of that for a 9, no bueno.
No.
No bueno,
No.
counterproductive. And I mean, I've raised great kids and all the things,
Yeah.
but the
That's
strategies,
what makes us tick.
the strategies that I've applied were for me as an 8
Right.
and not for them as 4s and 9s.
Mhm.
And so if you suspect that you're parenting a 9, just be mindful of that. And that doesn't mean you have to tippy toe. It just means,
Oh, no. It's just the way you handle it. It's the way it comes out.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Mhm.
Don't come out on the attack.
Yes.
Just talk.
Yes.
Just like kind of, it's the way you say something. It's not what you're saying.
Yes.
A lot of times it's not what you're saying.
It's how you're
saying it. And a lot of times you're just
yes.
chirping, attacking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think Gail's thinking of some specific things, and it's not about me. We're gonna take a quick break right now. We're gonna come back, and I think that's a perfect time we can talk about some more dynamics of the 9s and other people in their family. So sit tight. We're back talking about life as an Enneagram 9, the peacemakers or peacekeepers. They avoid conflict. Again, for people that are a little bit more well-versed in the Enneagram, the 9s are also in the gut triad. So leading with intuition with 8s and 1s. But you don't always trust your intuition, which is, so it's like, there's that, again, without getting too Enneagram geekish, there's that like 3, 6, 9, the 3 numbers that are kind of in a triangle, and they almost have competing, like where they're dominant, they're also weak. So in the case of the 9, they're intuitive, but then they also don't trust their gut a lot of times, because it comes back to them not feeling like they matter, their opinion is valid or has any bearing, which is just
constantly questioning.
Yeah.
Constantly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Questioning myself.
And then Gail's married to a 5. So Gail's husband, Dave, we love Dave, but Dave is a 5. And I suspected it pretty much early on along the way. Again, go back and listen to our episode on Enneagram Fives. And Dave has some similarities, although he does look different, which is, again, the beautiful thing about the Enneagram is not one size fits all. Not all 8s look the same, not all 9s look the same. But again, the core motivation is the same. But in Dave's case of the 5, he's very analytical, very by the book, very routine, almost to like an OCD way of like, I have to go through this, like ritualistic, where you're almost like, like every weekend Dave goes to Costco. He does this. He is this, right? If I ever need anything from Costco, I know Dave's going on Saturdays.
And you're going to get 25 text messages, pictures.
Yes.
Questions.
I asked Dave to pick up tuna for me one day. You're going to Costco. Can you just pick up tuna? White albacore bumblebee tuna. I must have gotten, and I kid you not, a half a dozen text messages of what size, not just how many, like, oh, how many things. Do you want the 4 ounce or the 6 ounce? Are you sure you want the Bumblebee brand because the Kirkland brand is cheaper? And that, like, it was a laundry list of things. I've asked him to pick me a Pellegrino. Do you want the big bottles or small bottles? Do you want this? This is cheaper than.
Yeah.
And I find it humorous. And Josh, who's a 3, who has 0 attention to detail, is like, what are you even talking about? Like, Josh just laughs.
Right.
Literally just like, Josh just thinks it's hysterical.
Yeah.
But Dave is so very detailed and ritualistic and very set in his ways. Everything's a spreadsheet.
Everything's a spreadsheet. Let me put that on a spreadsheet.
However, Dave also procrastinates for different reasons because he has to gather so much information before he does something that it's just like, oh my gosh, just do it already.
Yeah. Yeah.
And from observing them, looking at that 5-9 dynamic, is Gail's 8 wing tends to come out because they both are like in that withdrawing stance. But then when they finally hit that breaking point, she's like, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think again, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Yeah. It's exactly it. It drives me nuts.
And communication.
He'll beat, can I say
Yeah.
shit? He'll beat the shit out of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you could just get that done. It doesn't you don't need to beat the shit out of it.
Yeah.
And put it on, even just like with as simple as a budget.
Yeah.
What comes in, what goes out. It's 2 columns.
Right.
2 columns.
Right. There's
a whole spreadsheet.
Yeah.
There's an amortization chart.
Yes.
There's it.
And I'm a detail person, right? So the devil's in the details a lot.
Yeah.
However, in certain cases, when you get so micro, and this plays in with the whole organization, right. When you overcomplicate something, it delays the execution because you're spending so much time in the planning, in the process, that it takes away any margin for execution. And the other thing is, it also makes it really, really difficult for other people to keep up because you're so in your way. And I think this is a relevant point for anybody, any type on the Enneagram. When you have creating a system for clutter organization, it could be budgeting, it could be whatever it is, a family shared calendar. You got to make it simple enough and generic enough that people who see the world through a different lens can keep up with it. Because when you make it so specific to how you see the world, and this goes through, think about parents with kids trying to hang up your backpacks and do this. You might come in and do this, but you're going to lose them.
You'll lose them.
You raise 3 boys who are all different. And
which we need to do theirs, because I gotta figure them.
I was like, we've done their mudroom. They don't even live at home anymore. I have to figure out that there, but that's going on. Yeah, we'll work.
But it's true. You'll lose them.
Yeah,
you'll lose them.
And so I think that's really important that as we kind of conclude this series of looking at how different people, how they navigate the clutter, how they define organization, is being mindful, unless you live alone, and are constant and only dealing with sometimes but even if it's in a workplace setting, if you're dealing with other people on your team, or if you lead a group of people, I know for me, even when it comes to my team, I'll use a perfect example. So Gail, in addition to being a personal assistant, Gail also helps me. I did say she's part of my team. Gail's been part of my team since the get-go, but in a very part-time when I need her, and she's a pinch hitter wherever I need her. If I need her on site with a client, she helps with the client. If I need help with the partner program, she helps with the partner. She's just my tried and true ride or die. And she does a lot of help working with organizing the retreat. So
travel buddy.
And she's my travel buddy. Yes. Yeah. You can go let Jeter out. The dog is in here and wants to go. I have noticed that giving a specific timeline is helpful. If I just say, hey, can you research restaurants for us to go? Now you will research them. It's not that you won't, but if I'm can you give me 3 restaurants by next Friday? That is a clearer way for me to.
Oh, it's so much better.
And it's better for you.
Yeah.
I feel like it's better for you.
Right. Because I'll procrastinate and I will look stuff up, but I won't nail it down.
Yes.
Until I'm oh, wait a minute. I have to get this to Lori by next Friday. So yeah, it's so you've it's so much better that you do that.
But it's not, it's just, I was having this similar situation with Zoe, as asking her to do some things. She's researching, we're going to be taking a trip, and she loves travel and she loves planning travel. So we're you could do it. But I said to Josh, I think we need to give her some specific benchmarks. Like, I'd like to have the hotels locked down by this date.
Right.
And it's not to micromanage, but it's to give some context. And I feel like in the framework of a 9, they need to know when they need to buy. Now, she might do it the night before. I don't care though.
Right.
As long as I have it by this point.
Exactly.
But without that like end date, without that parameter, it's just kind of hanging there.
Oh, right. Right. And it just fuels the procrastination.
Right.
So to give us a deadline is the best thing you can do. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing, and tell me if you feel this is true, another common trait with 9s is the prioritization. Like, a lot of times 9s will not necessarily, if you have like 10 things to do, figuring out which is really, if you don't have a deadline.
Right.
Or you'll start a little bit of each one.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's always a little bit of each started.
Yes.
But nothing is completed.
Which again, tying back to the whole organization piece, this is why we always say, pick a space, start it and finish it, as opposed to doing a little bit each. Oh, I'm going to do an hour here, an hour, an hour in the kitchen, an hour in the garage, an hour in my closet, because then you don't really see the progress. And that's why I think, again, we'll just shoot up. We're both Dave Ramsey fans. That's why the snowball works, because it focuses you on one task at a time.
Yeah. Yes.
And that is how people start. Once you start seeing that progress, then it continues to fuel that motivation.
Right.
And you start to pick up more speed.
Right.
And I think that is a really valuable tool specifically for 9s.
Even this weekend, my bedroom needed to be, there were piles. And we were tripping over piles. And finally, Saturday, I'm going first thing in the morning. Didn't even brush my teeth, stayed, just.
You should have called me. I would have come over.
Right in. No, but it was basically, this is goodwill. This is throwaway. Let me clean this pile up. That's all it was.
Right.
And I found myself starting it. And then but it's funny because I'm like, nope, it's going to get done. Focus, right? Focus. And I did it. And now I'm like, I walk into that room, I'm like, oh
yes.
But I think because I was reading, I'm pointing over here, but I have my book over here. I reread that book on vacation. Like, not the whole thing, but parts of it, and of course my part. And I think it just helped me go, just focus on this one thing, Gail, focus. And a few times during it, I had to say it to myself.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's done. Let's get a bag. We have to get that out of here. We have to, and I did it. But it's a constant.
Yeah.
Like,
it's that constant discipline of staying, because again, it doesn't come also as intuitively, like it's easy, and people get distracted and life happens.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about strategy. This is like a super underhanded pitch, but the fact of knowing kind of like, what do I do with, because a lot of times if people might be listening out there and going, okay, part of the reason why I'm procrastinating is I don't even know how to do. I don't know what to do with it. Right. So how has like knowing kind of our method, our like ESP with our 4 piles, how has that helped you in that, when you're finally buckling down to do it, actually making it progress?
I think because if you look at it as a whole, you get overwhelmed. Yeah. And you shut down. At least I do. And I think a lot of people, when you look at something and you see the big picture, you're like, and that's why I procrastinate. I just push it aside. So I think breaking it down, you have to break it down. Like even the other day, okay, well, that pile over there, let me start with that, because that's goodwill. Yeah. And let me then go to this. This is all our pictures and all that. Where am I going to store that right now? Because I had a lot of crap in that closet, in my closet. So now I'm trying to reroute everything. But I think breaking it down
Yeah.
You have to break it down into little pieces so you'll get more done and more momentum and it's just not as overwhelming.
Yeah. And we're going to be doing some in the next couple months. We're going to be doing some more like tactical shows on, again, more specific like processes of going through it, which we've tackled before, but like really like, how do you go in and approach the, or how do we, there's not one right way, but kind of like what our system is for, addressing the clutter and knowing what piles to start separating into. Because I think that's really important, and having those strategies, whatever that strategy is that works for you, but having that dialed in to come back to of going, okay, I know that it's going to go into one of four places. It's either going to go in the pile to stay in this space. It's going to go into the relocate pile. That means it's got to go somewhere else in the house.
Right.
It's going in a donate pile, or it's going in a trash pile. Like, you know that.
Right.
So you have whatever your item is, it's gotta fall into one of those camps. Which one is it? And when you can start to just work systematically and get into your zone, I find that 9s can make a lot of traction.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, there's some emotional for me, but I can go through my closet and rip stuff off that hanger. I haven't worn it, and I can get rid of it. Like I don't have a lot of problem with that.
No, you don't.
Some things, I mean, there are some things that, maybe the kids,
but you've got
made or stuff like that, but I don't have any artwork.
Oh my God. There was a little tiff in my house the other day with the 9, because I don't even remember how the conversation came up, but she basically said that I threw out every single thing. And I said, whoa there, sister, revisionist history. I have not thrown out everything. You have a bin of stuff. Probably
I have a bin. Absolutely. They each have a bin.
Yes. But she's like, you threw out every single thing. I go, I didn't, not every single thing, but do you really want, we have clients that have 10 tubs per child. And I look ahead as a future thinker, 8, one day when my kid is grown, are they going to want 10 tubs of artwork? No,
they're never going to go through it.
Nope.
You say the Mother's Day card they made you and all that, that's all in there. I have a bin for that. I have my own bin.
We all have memory bins.
We all have memory bins.
Yes.
But no.
Yeah.
No, nobody wants that.
Right.
No, not at all. They're not going to take it and store it in their house. Their wife, or for me, their wives.
Yeah.
Your mother's nuts.
Yeah. Exactly.
Why are there 20 bins?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not storing that.
I also find that for certain types, and in my experience, I think 9s are one of them, that having that accountability partner, if it's done in the healthy, nurturing way, not a like, you have to, is helpful. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, well, you're mine.
Well, yes, I know. But, again, underhanded pitch, but I'm just thinking of our one particular client that we go, it's certain types, because it's not, I call the 9s clutter blind. Because they're so go with the flow, that a lot of times until it does become a problem, clutter's not a problem. Like the dishes in the sink or some stuff on the counter or some stuff shoved isn't a problem until it gets to a point where you hit your breaking point, and then it is.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And so having an accountability partner to keep it from getting to like a 10, once it starts getting there, to say, okay, let's dial back. And that accountability partner can be a friend.
Well, it is you, because I have a 5 as a husband who doesn't get rid of anything.
No.
Gets rid of nothing.
And gets rid of nothing, not for sentimental reasons, but it's fear-based. We might need it. We might need it. We might use it. And we spent money on it. I don't want to have to spend more money on this.
Right.
Or it's on sale.
Yes.
Let's get it.
Stock up.
Let's stock up. And then
we have
you could have a bunker.
50
you could open a restaurant.
jars of Rayo sauce.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Cape Cod chips.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think these are the things, again, it's not just the act of what we're doing, but why we're doing it, and having those conversations about, trying to say, how can I best support you? I think that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
How can I best support you? This is what our goal is. And if the goal is we want to have an organized space, why? Because we don't want to feel stressed when we walk in our room, or we don't want to trip over stuff, or I want to cut down on my morning routine so I'm not digging through.
Right.
Whatever your why is. Okay, once we can finalize that kind of goal, it's what strategy is going to help us get there. And they're going to be different for different types.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it is.
Go ahead.
No. I just find, my strategy is so much different than like Dave's. And then all of a sudden, like, Dave will hit me at, 10 o'clock at night and go, look, we need to do blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, you can't do that to me at 10 o'clock at night.
No.
Yes. No. So yeah, everybody has their own little strategy, and everybody, I don't know. I think I am getting my own process down.
Oh, I thought you meant your own house.
No, well, that too. That too.
Oh my gosh. So what do you, obviously you shared a lot of information, but if there's anybody listening out there that is going, I think I might be 9, or this sounds like me.
Yeah.
Or I think this might be my spouse or whatever. Like, is there any kind of words of wisdom or any advice that you have for people if you're trying to, help
deal with
them?
yourself?
Yes.
Well, I know it's easier said than done, but I think you just don't be hard on yourself. You can't. I try not to second guess myself, and I try, after I make the decision, it's done, go with it. It's, it's hard. It's a hard process. I think as you get older, I definitely think as you get older, because I'm older, there's the confidence is growing, because I'm, I've done okay. I've raised 3 children.
She's 3.
They're all
3 amazing young men.
Kept them out of jail.
Yes, they are all 3 functioning members.
They're out of the house pretty much. I have 1 more, but it's a process with anything. And as you get older, you just get wiser.
Yes, we can only hope.
But you're always learning. Doesn't matter what age you are, but it's a hard thing for us 9s to be confident in our decisions. Not second guess ourselves. It's really hard. But if you look back at your track record, you're like, yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah,
I'm done. I'm doing all right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think, again, 9s don't realize the power of influence that they have.
No.
And that is like a superpower for 9s, in my opinion. And so when it comes, again, to making decisions, I think a lot of times 9s mistake certain types of communication for conflict, or like speaking up for yourself, like advocating for yourself in some situations as conflict. And that doesn't always mean, that's not always the case.
No, but sometimes that's what happens, is because we hold it in. I am not one to express my feelings. So my sister and I always said we push it down.
Yes.
And then eat it. We push our feelings down.
Yeah.
And then we eat them.
Yeah.
Or drink them. But I think that festers.
So he says the tears are in her feet.
Right.
They can't, they're trying to make their way up there. There's
we push it.
Yeah.
But then we get to a point. We get to the boiling point. And it could be, maybe it's not even that anymore, but it's a little thing that sets you. set you off. So
Yeah.
So when you do let loose,
Back up.
but then
But also
5 minutes later, I'll feel horrible.
Well, see, that's the thing. Also,
horrible. 5 minutes later.
When nines do finally get to their breaking point, that is, it's unlike an 8 who has explosive outbursts, and then
All
it's
the
like
time.
5 minutes, right? And then
no, but that's
and
a
I
good,
forget
it's
it.
healthy.
Well,
but you forget it,
within
which
reason.
is a good thing.
I don't ruminate on it,
No.
and I'm annoyed at you, not you.
No,
never
no,
annoyed
no,
at
no.
you, but like
But you
I'm
could
annoyed
be,
at somebody,
but then it's over. You
and
get
then it's
it
over,
out.
and I let
You
it
get
out. Right.
You're like a man, because
Yeah.
even like you look at girls growing up
Yeah.
and boys growing up, they'll beat the crap out of each other. They'll be
Yeah.
mad, and then it's over. 5 minutes later, they're playing down the
Right.
street.
Exactly.
There's
Girls,
no hurt.
I'm like, there's no hurt feelings.
There's no
There's no crying.
No.
That's the damage I've done to my kid. That's why her tears are in her feet. On that note, okay, we're going to take one more quick break. Yes, quick break, Gail, and then we're going to come back. Okay, we're back. I love having you on the show. So fun. And Gail's like, of course I'll do it for you, but she's really a trooper, because this is not, again.
Well,
not
we
her
used to do it when you didn't see me.
Yeah, I know.
It was just talking, and I feel more comfortable.
Yeah, but
now I'm thinking,
but we
have I need color.
No, but we have like,
I go
we have
tomorrow.
like 3, but we have like 3 people that watch our show on YouTube. So it's fine. Okay. Did we do the book question with you the last time you were on here? Like, what's your favorite book?
Probably.
Or what's
and
a
I'll
book?
go to the same one.
You will? Okay.
Or 2 now, because I'm
remember.
really, well, no, there's a few now.
Well, you just came back from it. Did you read while you were on vacation?
I did a little bit, but
you did? Anything good?
I did. I read that again.
Oh, right. You did say that.
And then I have a book that I've been reading for, a couple years that I need to finish, because it's going to be made into a movie. So I have to do that.
Oh, you know what movie? I think I remember, actually. I think I remember your book that you said from last time.
Oh, the last thing he told me.
No, I think I could be wrong. I'd have to go back and look. I feel like you did Mel Robbins.
I did.
Time. And she's been on our show.
I did, but now it's the new one, the High Five Habit.
Oh,
and I started that too. I have 3 books sitting there that I've started.
Yeah.
And that's a good one for 9s.
The High Five Habit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. I'm only in a couple chapters.
But did you read self-help books always? Like Zoe, if I asked her to read that, she would like roll her eyes at me. And maybe that's just a mother-daughter thing.
Yeah, it's because you told her to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
No, but I love her.
I know you do.
I love
You're
her.
a
I
big
relate
fan.
to her.
Yeah, you like her a lot.
I do relate to her, because it was the High Five one, and it was the 5 minute, the 5 second
5-second rule.
5-second rule.
Right.
And that's good for procrastinators, the 5-second rule, because you can sit there and, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym. 5 seconds. You have 5 seconds to make that.
Which is
to make that decision.
Fine. Yeah.
And it's so good for procrastinators. Yeah. So I love her.
Okay.
Love her.
All right. But anyway,
I kind of like the self-help things.
You do.
Like, I love the Dave Ramsey books.
Yes.
And now I love this. I keep pointing over there, but because I have my book sitting over there. And I like that one too.
All right. So give us
crime. I love crime.
Crime books.
Yeah, like crime.
All right. So give us a crime book. So we've linked a million times for Back to You. So
I know.
Again, not that I have to. It's a great book.
We're not getting anything
it's a
back.
great book, but we have I have none at all.
No.
I could probably retire if there was. All right. So give us the question is, what books have inspired or impacted your life? So we know that, but just how about a book that you're reading? Just how about a book? What book did you say that they're making into a movie?
Is The Last Thing You Told Me.
I feel like who wrote that? Do you know?
Oh,
that's fine.
I'm bad at that.
That's fine. I'll look it up.
I think Reese Witherspoon.
It's one of the. I was going to say, is that
she's
one of
going
the?
to make it into a movie? And just now, I mean, this book's been out.
Yeah. I feel like Josh read it. Josh is a big.
Yeah, he's a big.
Big reader, and he's a big reader in the like.
And that's another thing, though,
fiction.
for me to sit and read a book.
Yes.
Because I feel bad.
Yeah. For why? For what?
Right. Why can't I take an hour to myself?
You can.
I can.
You totally can. I give you permission. Not that you need my permission. All right.
It helps.
All right. Final 2 questions, Gail. we ask all of our guests, right, in this particular season of your life, where do you feel the most organized and where do you feel like a bit of a hot mess?
Well, my kitchen is very organized.
It is. I may have had a hand in that.
You guys
have kept it up. Yes.
I've kept it up because it's a system. It's a good system.
It was simple. And even the five, although tell the story, just really quick, tell the story about the Rayos in the garage. When I was redoing the kitchen.
Lori was helping me put my kitchen back together. And Mr. Five was coming back from Costco because it was a Saturday. And he hid the Rayos sauce. He's a hoarder of Rayos sauce. So he hid the Rayos sauce in the cooler in the garage because he was afraid to bring it in to show you.
He was. Because
Lori said, don't.
I said, don't bring another jar in this house.
No.
And I was serious.
And that's the beautiful thing with your relationship, because you give it to him and he takes it. And I love it.
He might secretly be like,
I don't care,
flipping me off, but I love Dave, and he knows that everything I say is totally out of love.
Absolutely.
But I will be like, enough.
Enough. Yeah,
enough is enough.
I know,
but it's
so that's my strongest, and of course now my weakest right now. I'm a mess in that closet, and I have to get it together.
But you're going to.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
I'm going to make the phone call today to the.
Perfect. You go to the
store.
Yeah. And I can pick it up because I'll be out there. I'll be out there on Tuesday.
All right.
So I can pick it up.
There you go.
There you go.
I have a time.
Yes.
I have a.
Call them today so that they can, if there's anything,
they can get it together.
Yeah, they can get it together. Okay. And Lori will pick it up on Tuesday.
Okay. There you go.
Done. Gail, thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime.
I know you have to get to your next job, but thank you for making time for me.
Absolutely.
If this is your first time tuning in, guys, welcome to our show. We love having you here. If you enjoyed this episode, probably not as entertaining the other ones, but we have 8 other episodes of Enneagram and Clutter that we just have. We're wrapping up, the series. Next week, I will be coming to you solo with a recap summary and kind of like action steps moving forward, just to kind of tie this series up with a nice, neat bow. But we had some really, really great guests, all from different walks of life and different seasons of life, different experiences. And it was really fascinating for me to see kind of how each type relates to clutter. So I highly encourage you to go back and listen and just learn, whether it's for yourself or, like I said, a spouse, a kid, a parent, a coworker, roommate, whatever. Super helpful. And if you prefer to watch us, we're on YouTube and we're all over social media, This Organized Life podcast, or visit our website, Simply Be Organized. Until next week, I'm Lori Plow with my buddy Gail Waterman. Peace out. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, please spread the love and share it with your friends. And if this is your first time joining us, make sure to click the subscribe button wherever you are listening so you never miss an episode. And while you're there, please leave us a review so other people know that our show is worth the listen. You can also find us on YouTube and Instagram at This Organized Life Podcast. And if you'd like to connect with us, you can head on over to our website at simplythelletterBlikeBoyOrganized.com, which is filled with tons of resources, including free downloads, checklists, links to our amazing organizing partners, and all of our digital offerings. I'll see you next week for another episode of This Organized Life.